Assalamualaikum and hello to Madam Taibi and Dr. Roslina. This is our presentation for Viva investment video. My name is Zarul Ayman binti Badrul.
My name is Adam Muhammad Danial.
Hi, my name is Marina Iman.
My name is Aniessa Sofia Iman binti Aznan.
Hello, my name is Aizat bin Aznan Shawaluddin. We are from JBA 1145E. In this video, we will be presenting financial analysis and technical analysis of Inari Iman Berhad and its competitors. Now, I will start presenting about financial analysis. Financial analysis, there are 6 components, which are balance sheet, vertical analysis, horizontal analysis, risk analysis, regression analysis, and intrinsic value. First, let's start with balance sheet. Balance sheet consists all the data of the company from the year it listed until the recent year. It is important to determine whether the company is moving forward and upward or moving downward. The first component of balance sheet is asset. Inari managed to achieve highest total asset in 2019, up to 1.34 billion. It shows that the company managed to generate sales from its current asset and maximizing plus increasing its non-current asset. Next is debt. Every company wants to decrease their debt. Inari managed to lower their debt for the past 3 years down to 2.200 million. After that is revenue. In 2019, Inari does not receive the highest value of revenue, but the company managed to gain profit for every year. The last one is equity. Inari managed to gain the highest equity in 2019, but too much common stock issued by the company is not good either. Let's continue with vertical analysis. First, there are 3 main components in liquidity ratio. The first one is current ratio, the second one is quick ratio, and the last one is net working capital. In 2019, Inari managed to gain the highest current ratio, which is 4.22 times, and quick ratio, which is 3.3 times, while net working capital has the highest value in 2018, which is 364,406,000. Next, let's continue with activity ratio. There are 5 components in activity ratio, which are inventory turnover, average collection period, fixed asset turnover, account receivable turnover, and total asset turnover. In 2018, Inari managed to gain the highest inventory turnover, which is up to 6.31 times, and average collection period is the lowest in 2018, which is 52.64 days. Also, received the highest fixed asset turnover, which is 3.44 times, and the last one received the highest total asset turnover, 1.03 times in 2018, while the account receivable turnover, the lowest one is in 2017, which is 5.52 times. After that, let's continue with leverage ratio. There are 3 components in leverage ratio, which are debt ratio, debt to equity ratio, and time interest earned. In 2019, Inari managed to decrease their debt ratio down to 1.11% and debt equity ratio down to 0.01 in 2018 and 2019, while time interest earned has the highest value in 2018, which is 218.09 times. One is profitability ratio. Profitability ratio has 5 components, which are gross profit margin, operating profit margin, net profit margin, return on total asset, and return on common equity. In 2018, Inari managed to gain the highest profit margin, up to 26.39%, and operating profit margin, which is 21.57%, also return on total asset, which is 90.53%, while the highest net profit margin is in 2017, which is 19.43%, also return on common equity in 2017, which is 26.11%. That's all from me. I will pass to Aniessa. Thank you.
Thank you, Aizat. Now, I will present on horizontal analysis. Horizontal analysis is a comparison between company and competitors based on year 2019. There are 4 categories under horizontal analysis, which are liquidity ratio, activity ratio, leverage ratio, and profitability ratio. For liquidity ratio, the first one is current ratio. Based on year 2019, the highest current ratio is Vitrox with 4.94 times and lowest is Unisem with 2.58 times. For quick ratio, the highest quick ratio is MPI with 4.39 times and lowest is Unisem with 1.97 times. And lastly, net working capital. The highest is recorded by MPI with 806,652 ringgit, while the lowest is UWC with 101,487 ringgit. Next is activity ratio. Firstly, inventory turnover. The highest inventory turnover is MPI with 11.72 times and lowest is Vitrox with 1.06 times. For average collection period, the highest collection period is recorded by Vitrox with 464 days and lowest is Unisem with 188 days. Fixed assets turnover. The highest turnover is recorded by Inari with 2.33 times and lowest is Unisem with 1.12 times. Lastly is total asset turnover. The highest total asset turnover is MPI with 0.87 times and lowest is Vitrox with 0.55 times. Next is leverage ratio. Firstly, debt ratio. The highest debt ratio is recorded by UWC with 23.86% and lowest is MPI with 12.24%. For debt equity ratio, the highest is recorded by Unisem with 0.81 times and lowest is Vitrox with 0.2 times. For time interest earned, the highest is Inari with 214 times and lowest is Unisem with 3.24 times. For profitability ratio, firstly, gross profit margin. The highest gross profit margin is Unisem with 66.17% and lowest is MPI with 16.97%. Operating profit margin, the highest is recorded by UWC with 33.62% and lowest is Unisem with 1.57%. For net profit margin, in 2019, the highest is recorded by UWC with 81.24% and lowest is Unisem with negative 0.7%. For return on total assets, the highest is MPI with 59.86% and lowest is Unisem with negative 0.54%. Lastly, return on common equity. The highest is recorded by MPI with 80.58% and lowest is Unisem with negative 0.7%. Now, I will pass to the next presenter, Marina.
Thank you, Aniessa. Now, I will present about risk analysis. Risk analysis is a process that helps us manage potential problems that could threaten key business initiatives or projects. Based on the table above, UWC have the biggest average annual return out of all 5 companies with 190.65% return. This might due to the fact that UWC only existed in Bursa Malaysia for only 5.5 months. The formula used for average annual return is the sum of daily return for 5 years then divide it by 5. But for UWC, we divide it with 12 due lack of data. Vitrax coming in second with 44.23% return, followed by Inari and MPI with 31.9% and 23.45% respectively. Unisem has the lowest return out of all five with only 14.66%. Next, we will look into variance. The greater the variation, the more the stock fluctuates widely. UWC have the most fluctuation with 7.74% variance. Inari have the second largest fluctuation with 5.62%, passing Unisem's, which currently at 5.6%. MPI coming to the fourth place and Vitrax on fifth with 4.01% and 3.68% respectively. From here, we can conclude that UWC has the most risk while Vitrax is a low risk, moving to the standard deviation. Since standard deviation is derived from variance, the volatility ranking is also same. Consequently, the ranking is UWC, Inari, Unisem, MPI, and Vitrax with 2.78%, 2.37%, 2%, and 1.92%. UWC have the largest standard deviation while Vitrax has the lowest. Lastly, we look at coefficient of variation. A lower ratio means the risk is more worth to trade. Unisem has the biggest ratio with 39.4%, surpassing MPI with 20.83%. Inari and Vitrax come in third and fourth with 18.13% and 10.55% subsequently. UWC has the lowest CV with only 3.69%. The next slide, I will explain about the regression analysis. The table above shows about companies' beta and expected return. This regression analysis is based in CAPM. The capital asset pricing model describes the relationship between systematic risk and asset expected return. Beta demonstrates how volatile the price of the stock has been relative to the market as a whole. Based on the table above, we could see that all stocks' beta value are less than 1, meaning the securities are less volatile than the market. The CAPM formula is expected return equal risk-free rate plus beta times return market minus risk-free rate. The expected return for Inari, Unisem, MPI, Vitrax, and UWC is 3.57%, 3.46%, 3.31%, 3.56%, and 3.36% respectively. Moving on to the security market line. SML is a line drawn on a chart that serves as a graphical representation of the capital asset pricing model. Based on the graph above, we could safely say that all 5 companies are undervalued. Inari, Unisem, MPI, Vitrax, and UWC gain 31.90%, 14.65%, 23.45%, 44.23%, and 190.65% of actual return respectively. All the companies' actual return are higher than its expected return. If we made an investment decision based on SML, all 5 stocks are recommended to buy because all 5 stocks are above the line thus undervalued. The reason behind UWC return being too high is because this company has only registered in Bursa Malaysia for only a year. There is not enough data for us to make a fair comparison with other companies since other company data analysis is 5 years long. Lastly, company intrinsic value. Intrinsic value is a measure of what an asset is worth. In this case, we will comparing all 5 companies' actual return and expected return to evaluate their value. Inari gained 31.90% as their actual return compared to 3.57% of expected return. Unisem gained 14.60% as their actual return compared to 3.46% of expected return. MPI gained 23.45% as their actual return compared to 3.31% of expected return. Vitrax gained 44.23% as their actual return compared to 3.56% of expected return. UWC gained 190% as their actual return compared to only 3.36% of expected return. All these companies are undervalued since their actual return are higher than expected return. The shareholder and investor can buy more of this stock and wait for the price to increase, and I will pass this presentation to Zarul Ayman.
Alright, thank you Marina. Now I'm going to explain about the company's technical analysis. First, let's understand what is technical analysis. Technical analysis is a technique of analysis for forecasting price direction through the review of previous market data, mainly price and volume. Technical analysis looks at the history of the trading pattern rather than the economic, the fundamental, and the news event. They also understand the market patterns that they can identify, such as uptrend, downtrend, and cup and handle, to be reliable as an indicator of the future price. Technical analysts also widely use market indicators. The most common one is moving average, RSI, and MACD. Comparative analysis between Inari Hamilton and KLCI. This red line is our cut-off date. This blue line is 1 month prior to the red line, and this purple line is our 3 months prior to the red line. In the short term, Inari Hamilton plummeted almost 10%. This seems like a bad thing, but actually a healthy stock must have a decent pullback. This is proven because after that, they saw to almost 24% until the end of December. As for KLCI, they also saw in early December, but they have a decent pullback afterwards. We believe this is due to the vaccination rumors. As for intermediate term, Inari Hamilton is very volatile. They go up and down between 4% and 16%. We believe this is due to the 5G catalyst. However, for KLCI, it's been declining until November, but after that, the percentage is increasing until the end of December. We also believe this is due to the vaccination rumors. Let's see the comparative analysis for Inari Hamilton and its competitors. There are a lot of colors here, but this box will tell you which color presenting which company. Let's start with the red color, Aniessa and Berhad. For intermediate term, they have an uptrend which capping to 70%. We believe this is due to their quarterly earnings, but for the short term, they have an uptrend to 90%, but then they gain a downtrend to 70%. As for the UWC, the orange line, in the intermediate term, they have a decent uptrend, and we believe this is due to iPhone 12 release, but for the short term, they actually gain a lot more uptrend, capping at 80%. We believe this is due to their 1-for-1 bonus share release. Next, MPI. MPI is the purple line. As for intermediate term, they have a decent uptrend, but for the short term, they only get a sideways. Lastly, Vitrox and Inari. Vitrox and Inari share almost the same movement, which both of their intermediate and short term are only sideways. See the trend analysis of Inari Hamilton. We can see all three types of trend here, which are downtrend, uptrend, and sideways. The downtrend happens in early 2020. This is due to coronavirus. But after that, we can see a huge uptrend here until December. After December, there is only sideways. We can also see a strong support and resistance here. The support is on 89 cents, while the resistance is at 2.84 level. Next, let's see the breakout. Breakout is a resistance become support and support become resistance. There are actually two resistance become support in this chart. First, this 1.9 level. We can see how this candle break the 1.9 level and making the resistance become the new support. But after for a while, they also break another resistance here, which is at 2.3, and making it to a new support. And I think that's all from me. I'm gonna give this presentation to Danial.
Thank you, Zarul. Now I'll be presenting our analysis of the indicators of Inari price chart. Using these 5 indicators to interpret whether the signal is to buy or sell. First, the signal moving average or SMA is formed by computing the average price of a security over a specific number of periods. The closing price moving above the moving average is interpreted as a buy signal, while the closing price moving below the moving average is interpreted as a sell signal. The moving average convergence divergence or MACD is used to signal both the trend and momentum behind the security. By using this, we can measure the short-term momentum compared to long-term momentum to help determine the future direction of the asset. A buy signal shows when the MACD crosses above the signal line, while a sell signal shows when the MACD crosses below the signal line. The rate of change or ROC is an oscillator that fluctuates above and below the zero line. The indicator can be used to spot divergence, overbought, and oversold conditions. A buy signal shows when the ROC value is greater than 0, while a sell signal shows when the ROC value is greater than 0. RSI indicator is a momentum technical indicator that measures the speed and change of price movement in stock. It helps to indicate whether the security has seen more buying or selling pressure over the trading period. A buy signal shows when the RSI is below 30, then moves up and crosses over the oversold line, and a sell signal shows when the RSI is above 70 and then moves down and crosses below the overbought line. Stochastic oscillator is a technical momentum indicator that compares a security closing price to its price range over a given period. This indicator helps monitor the trend sustainability and signal reversal in price. The buy signal shows when the tail line is above the D line in the oversold range, and sell signal shows when the tail line is below the D line in the overbought range. In case of indicator, we analyze on these two periods. One is the intermediate term and the other one is short term. Let's look at the simple moving average. We can see at the end of December, the closing price is moving above the moving average line. A closing price moving above the moving average is interpreted as a buy signal. Move on to MACD. The MACD crosses above the signal line in December 2020, which indicates a buy signal. Next, the ROC value is greater than 0 at the end of December, which indicates a buy signal. As for RSI, it reached the overbought line and moved down below the overbought line. It shows a sell signal. This happened because in second week of December, the RSI reached the oversold line where it attracted investors to buy and went beyond the stable price. On to the last indicator, stochastic oscillator. The tail line or the blue line is below the D line or a red line in the overbought range. Therefore, it shows a sell signal. Here is what we got from the two price chart of Inari. Most of the indicators show a buy signal, so the buy signal is strong. In addition, the chart is moving in bullish trend, so it is safe to buy the stock. So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.